to have procedures or medical services done at IRMC that can't afford it or can't pay for it in some ways, correct?
Let me just say this, Josh. You just did something that gave me a massive amount of reverb. Yes, it supports those who use the free care fund at Children's Hospital in Pittsburgh, and it supports the purchase of equipment and various items for children who receive pediatric care at IRMC. And so all children receive the benefits of the Teddy Bear Fund Drive in that way. And we've been doing it since 1979, which is longer than we've been on this planet.
Both of us for once.
Both of you. But the Teddy Bear Fund Drive is just a tremendous thing, and we're so grateful that folks have supported it for all these many years. But you guys are here as well. We want to talk a little GCES. I wanted to get into a couple of topics with you, and one of those topics is end of the year coming up, people buying Christmas presents and the joy of the season and everything. But at the same time, we need to be thinking about, here comes the end of a calendar year, and does that affect what I'm doing with my resources, with the funds that I have, with the monies that I've made over the course of the year?
This is definitely a time where you want to look at your investments. Your 401k, the maximum is $23,000 that you can put in through the span of a year. For an IRA, that is going to be $7,000 that you can put in. But you want to try to make sure, if you're able to, that you max it out, because you're not going to be able to put into it anymore after the year is over. So maxing those out, 401k is $23,000 that you can put in throughout the year. An IRA is $7,000. You know, if you're just putting in $100 a month, you're not going to get to those values either way. So trying to max that out and getting to the maximum amount that you can put in is definitely a good idea to do before the end of the year. But we're coming up close now, so if you have one payroll or one paycheck before the end of the year, you want it to be in that paycheck.
Galen, let's talk about a Roth IRA versus a traditional IRA, because the rules are different.
Rules are different. Roth IRA you have to have in by the end of the year, and the traditional you have until April of next year to actually fund an IRA like that I would hold my 401k.
Now that's the big difference in terms of what you're contributing to it. But there are other differences in terms of the way that you're going to handle your taxes for each year too, correct?
Yeah, I mean, I tell everybody I am not a CPA, so I don't try to give tax advice. I kind of like to, you know, tap dance around it a little bit, because seriously, the CPA is going to be the best guidance, and it's kind of where we work with your CPA. And you shouldn't really be a last-minute type of, you know, retirement person. You shouldn't be waiting until the last 2 weeks of December to try to figure out what needs to get done in the year. It's just like Christmas presents. I'm sure, like even myself, I have many Christmas presents still left to buy. I haven't done it yet, and I have to rush to get it done. So I think that everybody should set a goal for 2025 of maybe not rushing around and try to avoid this, because the last minute stuff is hard to accomplish.
Yeah, strategy is something that we think of. You know, there was the football game yesterday, all kinds of strategy. You know, coaches set up their teams with their strategies. Military strategy is so important. Strategy is really important in your finances too.
It is. We just got back. We just last week we were in Phoenix recording our episodes for our TV show, which, by the way, I hear that we are actually going to be airing our TV shows on the radio station now. So I'm excited for that to come over pretty soon. That'll be coming up. Also, on that note, while I'm still there, we want to have people start calling in. So we want to talk about that. If people want to call in next time we're on the show with you, to have actually people call in and ask a question that they would feel comfortable asking on the air about retirement, that we can answer some live questions. But ultimately, we talked a lot about budgeting this last week whenever we were recording our TV shows. I think a lot of people take advantage of not having a budget, and you know, you might be good on money, but then you don't realize that you're spending $700 a month at Starbucks, you know. So it's looking at where you're actually spending your money and understanding where your money is going, and that's really the first step, I think, is budgeting your money. That way you know that you can max out your retirement throughout the year and put extra aside to retirement, and really try to control your costs while not feeling deprived at the same time.
Yeah, people talk about subscriptions all the time, all of the different subscriptions you have to the different streaming services that you're involved in, and all of a sudden, you know, you realize that I haven't watched that since I signed up for it. I didn't even realize I signed up for this one, and they're just grabbing money right out of your account.
It took us 2 years to figure out that we had an AMC Plus subscription because we wanted to watch the show Interview with the Vampire, which, by the way, is a pretty good show if you haven't seen it.
Yeah.
It happens to us too.
Interview with a Vampire. Meanwhile, these companies are sucking the money right out of your accounts.
Very fitting.
Galen, you know, that really is true, though, that, you know, if we were to really look in depth at where our money's going, we might be shocked a little bit.
Just as simple as something like DoorDash. You know, DoorDash is very convenient. Comes right to your house, and you can have any restaurant really that's on there. And Indiana's a small town, so it's a lot. So it's convenient, but if you're thinking about all the fees that you're adding up and extras that you're paying, that could be an extra percent you could be putting in your 401k, and you could just go pick up the food like you used to. You know, so it's the little things, and that's why I said, you know, instead of worrying about last minute at the end of this year, you know, enjoy this year. You know, buy those presents. I'm not the type that's like going to slap you with a roller if you're spending too much money. But next year, have that plan set up so you aren't rushing around.
Yeah, it really requires discipline, doesn't it?
It does, and it also requires me rushing around, because if you're rushing around, I'm rushing around, and then nobody's happy.
Galen has no available appointments in between now and next year, so it is too late if you haven't called us yet.
But it doesn't mean don't call GCES because you didn't know.
Yeah, no, definitely give us a call. If you want appointments, we do have some openings in January. You know, Galen will come out and sit down with you, but, you know, talking about people understanding how much money they have and what they're spending money on, I always tell this story. It was my aha moment when I realized that what we were doing made sense and that I wanted to do it. Because in the beginning, I went from restaurants to helping Galen set his appointments. And, you know, we went to a Haas's in Somerset, and there was a guy that sat in the back of the room that didn't really listen to what we were doing the entire time. He had his huge retirement book. He was only there for us to fill out his retirement book, and he was going to retire. When Galen sat down with him, he was paying like $320 a paycheck for insurance that he would never get money back from. He didn't even know he had, and he couldn't even carry it into retirement. And that was, he was 62 years old, so it was over $16,000 that he spent in 2 years for insurance that he didn't even know was coming out of his paycheck.
Yeah.
And he's had that since he was in his 20s. You know, he worked there forever. He was civil service. So checking your budget and looking where your money is going is really important, because for him, that meant $16,000 extra that he could have either put into his home, you know, his home checking account rather than giving it to Federal Employees Group Life Insurance. And that was my aha moment where I was like, hey, this actually makes sense. I like that we're doing this because we are able to help people. We're not just out there trying to sell products.
Did you then at that time say, I better look at what I'm doing?
I did not. I was still addicted to Starbucks at the time.
That didn't enter into his head.
I'm shaking his head.
Yeah.
So.
No, back then Galen still did accounting for us. Yeah.
But you know, it really is. It's an important thing for folks to do, and the sooner the better. We talk all the time, the three of us, about, you know, it's a different set of advice that you're giving to someone who's 20 years old and just starting out with their work career, as opposed to someone who's in their 50s or 60s who's getting ready to retire. The urgency for that one in their 50s or 60s is much higher because they're in the home stretch right now, Galen, and it's something that they really have to give special consideration to as to what they're going to do. Those younger folks, they've got time to make mistakes, and we don't want them to make mistakes, but you know, mistakes are things that from which they can recover much more easily.
Everybody's going to make mistakes on it. I mean, so I always say don't beat yourself up about it. You're right. The younger, the longer time, also the younger you are, the more aggressive you can be. So a lot of people need to think, you know, what is my aggression? Should I be more aggressive? And a new trend that I am seeing is people, as long as you understand the market and you start teaching people the market, they kind of want to play the market a little bit heavier into retirement. So people are willing to risk a little bit more to kind of hedge inflation. And that's something that we'll talk about in the future, I'm sure, as well. But, you know, it is very important to maximize everything you have. So like you said at the beginning, if there are things that you need to look at by the end of the year, by all means look at it. But this time of year is pretty much, it's the season. So give, be kind.
Exactly. We're
Yeah.
here for the 700 shop for the Teddy Bear Fund Drive. People make charitable contributions, and they do so at the end of a year in order to take advantage as well of not only helping others but also helping their own tax situation too.
Nobody likes to pay the IRS.
Yeah, you might as well give that to a charity as you give it to the government.
Yes,
Yeah.
I agree.
We, the Teddy Bear Fund Drive, I've seen a lot of people come in. It is very active
Yep.
this morning, so you guys are doing a great job. And it looks like it's going to be a great day for you guys. So I'm glad that you are almost set up here at your table, because
We're
I
just
imagine
about
you
ready.
guys all have to put a lot of work. Being from the United Way, I understand how much work goes into putting this off every year. So good for you guys to do that for the community.
Well, we appreciate that. We appreciate the two of you spending so much time talking finances with us as well. Somebody wants to get hooked up with GCES. What they need to
It's
do.
real easy. Just give us a call, 724-915-0000, or just stop in our office 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. We will be closed. We actually close for Christmas Eve, and we will be closed the whole way until July 3rd. So,
July
I'm sorry, not
3rd.
July.
I
That-
wish.
I wish. That sounded really nice when it came out of my mouth. But January 3rd. So we close down for the holidays. We close through Christmas, the whole way through New Year's.
All right. So
Yeah.
there you go. GCES, give them a call, make that appointment, and come January, get in there to visit with the guys and make your financial situation much better.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
The 700 shop in downtown Indiana, that's where we are today, and we're broadcasting live and will be all week here on Indiana in the morning, and of course we will do so as well on our other Renda Media stations too. It is the voice of Indiana.